You my bae. Got me feeling for you all day long. Baby girl, you can have it all. You my bae. So you my bae. Got me feeling for you all day long. Baby girl, you can have it all. Hey, you got what I need, girl. Hey, you should come with me, girl. Oh, JP.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reginald Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, Wildman Teddy T, a.k.a. Baron the Mound Builder.
Yeah, we are back live on my favorite day. This is hump day.
Yes, it is. Ha, 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 ha. Count Chocula, man. Can you turn the TV down, please?
Yes.
And on the ones and twos, man, we got our brother, Inspector Deck, Dr. Spock.
Yes,
Whatever
sir.
you want to, Scotty, DJ Newkirk. What it do, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Happy Father's Day to you, man.
Happy Father's Day to you, my brother.
It was a little minute.
I see you had some fun, so I'm happy that you was out with a wife and having a good time.
I mean, we gonna call it fun, okay?
You don't think it was fun?
We gonna call it. Hey, I take that, bro. I take that, man.
Enjoyment, man.
That,
just
man.
being with these
No, I
significant
take that,
others.
man. So just definitely, oh yeah, that was fun. Okay, I thought you was talking about just the other post, man. One of those was down at Zoo Miami.
Oh,
And,
I didn't see that one. I
man,
saw.
Bro, Zoo Miami.
I seen that.
Zoo Miami was so hot.
Oh yeah.
Bro, you know that this is your brain on drugs, bro. It's like hot.
Wow.
Hot. But, for anybody want to, go down to Zoo Miami, I definitely recommend that you go down there, during the week if possible, if you can, during the week. It's it can be a nice little chill adventure, right? I highly, highly recommend the tram. Get on the tram, because the tram takes you and you just, you know what I mean? You just chilling on the tram and you riding.
Yeah,
and they
That's
like,
the best thing.
there they go over there.
Mm-hmm.
There they go.
I see him. Look, I
There
see
they
him.
go over
I
there.
see him, Daddy. Good.
There they go over there. Because otherwise, man, bring a change of clothes, man. Or just go like you going to the beach. For
Right.
real.
You're gonna be sweating.
Yeah, because they got a thing in the middle, which is like a kid zone that got all kind of water stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to get on there and rock with. So, that was definitely cool, man. So just spending time, with the fam has definitely been good for me, personally.
Okay. So you said the Miami Zoo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it used to be called Metro Zoo.
Metro Zoo.
Now
Okay.
it's called Zoo Miami.
Zoo Miami. Okay.
All the way down
I went down there with my mother.
Richmond Heights.
Yeah.
Down south, man. I haven't been down there in
It's a
in
mission.
quite a minute. That's why I say, man, if you can
And it's a
go
long
during the
walk.
week,
You're right.
right? So you can either get the little bikes. They got little scooters. They got somebody's
word.
smart down
Somebody,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody's smart. They was like, to get these folks out here, in this South Florida sun. And they came in and it's a lot of greenery
Right.
and a lot of the little water spouts where you come in and get, showered and, throughout. It's cool, man. And I also recommend get the package. Get the package that includes lunch, because you mess around and go down there and try to hit them a la carte, you're going to get hit over the head.
Mm-hmm.
But it only adds like, $10 to $12 per ticket if you get it in advance. And then when you get down there, you get your choice: hot dog, hamburger, pizza, chicken, whatever. So I just said, let me see if I'm getting the deal. And I looked, I was like, ooh, yeah. So recommend that, man. It was cool. We did the Frost Museum another time. That was cool. So just kicking it with the kids, man. Kicking it with the fam, especially in light of the fact that courts is wide open in Broward and going to be open on the 28th in Dade. So. You know what I mean? Just gearing up, man. Just gearing up. So we dispensing justice, trying to come heavy-handed.
Right.
So that come September, my calendar is kind of free. But what this pandemic has done,
Backed up a lot of stuff.
and right now the judges, they complaining because nobody resolving cases because, trial is usually the thing that's going to get people to fish or cut bait. Right. But there were no trials during the pandemic, really. You had a few, tests here, tests there, but for the, 99% of the cases, you just sitting there and playing chicken with the other side. So now you just all the judges are backlogged, so they pushing everything. So that's what's going on, man. So we're gonna roll up to Washington D.C. for a second, man, and see if y'all want to, say anything about Joe Manchin. You know anything about Joe Manchin, Teddy T?
Joe Manchin?
Joe Manchin. He's the Democratic senator from West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia, voted for Trump in this past election by 69%. Yeah.
So he's a Trump plant?
No, he's not a Trump plant, but it's hard to tell him anything because what pressure can a Democrat place on Joe Manchin when Trump won? You know what I'm saying?
Like that's what I mean. Like he's already.
So he's definitely not a plant. He was there before Trump, and he's opposed, and he voted for impeachment. So he's definitely not a plant.
So he's not with Trump.
No, not at all. He's a Democrat from West Virginia.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is understanding his politics and what it means to come out of. It's just like if you in Suge Knight territory, in Compton, and but you a Crip.
Right.
You a Crip, and it's like you get to live. You live. They allow you to live, and they cool with you. But when folks in there, your homies start asking you to impose some Crip principles on what's going on where you at, you can like slow your roll, slow down. Yeah. Like I got a pass. Yeah. But y'all don't have a pass. y'all ain't got a pass. Y'all ain't have a pass. So I think with Joe Manchin, you got a lot of folks, man, who like get him out of the party and all this other stuff, and it's like, and replace him with who? And replace him with what? Like
why?
This
because
man,
he got that much power right now, right?
He has that much power because remember in the Senate it's 50-50. Mm-hmm. Like it's 50-50. So basically, nothing flows without Joe. No flow without Joe.
Right.
No flow without Joe. So whatever it is, Joe come in there, look at it, and he makes the rounds. He comes on CNN, he does the Sunday shows, and he comes around, just old homely, nice, nice Southern country boy. I'm just a good old boy from West Virginia who happens to believe, and he's what would be considered a moderate. So you know how the Republicans are pretty much gotten rid of all their moderates. Mm-hmm. You still have, Susan Collins. You still have Lisa Murkowski in Alaska. Mm-hmm. You still got a few, but for the most part, they're on the extremes. Right. So Joe Manchin is one of, you got Manchin and Cinebrand out of Arizona. Mm-hmm. Two very, very, moderate. They call them moderate. Back in the day, they used to call them blue dog Democrats. Now they, moderates. So the issue is you got the Voting Rights Act and you got the Voters' Rights Act, the George Floyd Policing Act, which is really, really upsetting a lot of people right now because, especially when it comes to that voting. Joe Manchin came out and was like, man, this is how y'all need to do it. And he basically put like 5 bullet points out there, some of which we've been talking about, on this show. For one, with the voter ID, he was like, there needs to be some form of voter ID. The Democrats, on the most part, totally disagree with that. And they say, it disenfranchises black and brown, and especially older people. But when we talk about it on the show all the time, we always come to the same thing. Teddy T says, man, you need a driver's license or you need a form of ID to get on a plane, to leave the country, to come back into the country. What don't you need ID for? Very few things. So to sit there and be ready to die and be ready to march over requiring somebody to have identification, that's not a hill I'm willing to die on, for that. I'm like, come on, man, and so Joe Manchin has basically come out saying, voters ID, but there are other forms of identification that he says that he could even use. He's like a telephone bill or this or that or whatever. Like, what is FP&L going to do if you trying to turn on electricity? Come in there and talking about, oh, I'm black or I'm brown. I don't have no ID to turn on this electricity.
They don't ask for ID over the phone.
You have to prove, what I'm saying, but you have to prove, and it's not about them asking for the identification over the phone. The purpose is to prove that you are who you are.
That's why they
so
go
the phone. That's why they ask you
for
birth certificate, your birth, and all that.
Well, not the birth certificate.
Well,
date of birth,
date of birth, because that's going to connect to your ID.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So those type of things still just security measures.
Right. It's just exactly. It's just to find out who you are, because this whole big lie, that's been perpetrated by the former president is all about saying that the elections are not reliable. You can't count on them. It was a fraud. You got illegal immigrants and illegal people voting in the elections. You got dead people voting. You got all these things going on. So
dogs voting.
It's not a, it's like I said, it's not a hill I want to die on, to come out there and saying, have some identification when you vote. Especially Joe Manchin, who's saying there are other things that you can do other than just have, a driver's license. You can have, a concealed carry weapon permit. You can have in Florida, you can have a medical marijuana card. You know what I'm saying? You can have other forms of identification that will, enable you to vote. So that's one of his bullet points. Another thing that he says, which is, which Republicans don't necessarily favor, but I think it's a nice compromise, which is a federal holiday for voting. On that day, it's a federal holiday to vote. To make sure that, especially when you have jurisdictions like Texas and Georgia in particular, states like Texas and Georgia, who specifically are cutting the time for early voting and for the time that you can vote. So, if you got something going on, you got to drop kids off early in the morning. You got to drop kids off, or you only got a 1 hour lunch break. And then you get off at 5, and then you got to get to the poll by 7. But you got a kid and aftercare, what have you know what I mean? Like it's tough. So early voting, which is a third thing that Joe Manchin's proposal calls for, which is federally mandating that early voting, they be given at least 15 days. That's 2 weeks and a day.
Right.
Where you can, get it done. Get it done. So I think, personally, I think what Joe Manchin
So no
is
matter what, if
proposing,
you can't get your ID right now, you got the opportunity to go get it in so many days,
Right. You're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to do something. So that's that's so Joe Manchin. So everything, and what they really, really, really mad with him about is Joe Manchin is in the way of the filibuster. Like doing away with the filibuster, because Joe Manchin is saying, like, the country is divided, which I agree. I don't think anybody could take issue with that statement. The country is very divided, and so the whole thing about the filibuster, he said if you just go in there and just destroy the filibuster, then country's going to be more divided, because then you're going to pack the Supreme Court, which one thing that occurred during our respite is that Amy Carey Bryant, Justice Amy Carey Bryant, who we thought was potentially going to vote against the Affordable Care Act, got in and was like, nah, it's okay. We're gonna let it stay. And that's what we thought, at least that's what I thought Clarence Thomas was gonna do when I was a young, green, naive college student, when he was nominated by George H.W. Bush back in 1991 to replace Thurgood Marshall, the great Thurgood Marshall.
Great Thurgood.
And so Clarence Thomas, comes in, and I'm thinking like, yo, you got this job for life. So of course, the fact that you had this job for life, you're gonna come in and do the things that you need to do because you got the job for life.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But instead, your boy Clarence Thomas, he comes in there and doubles down. He doubles and triples down. He has, in his in his nearly 30 years on the bench, he has the most conservative voting record in the Supreme Court. That means every opportunity to vote against affirmative action, every opportunity he gets to vote against immigration, every opportunity, he gets to vote against his own people, he takes it. And his family, he came up in affirmative action.
Right.
His sister is on welfare. You know what I'm saying? But this guy who has a job where he can't get fired is out there doing those things. So he did not take a page out of the Amy Homie Bryant playbook, which is, I got this job for life. I'm voting against the man who just put me here.
Right.
Trump just nominated these folks. They get in and, boom, abortion rights. Nah, we're going to go ahead and keep that. And that was the whole, that was the whole thing when Trump nominated these folks. He was like, it's a 6-3 court right now. It's 6-3 conservative court.
It is.
So Trump is like, Obamacare, that's going to be gone. I done got Neil Gorsuch in here. I done got all these cats in here. I got Amy in here. I pushed her through in like 9 days. She got 8 kids. So I know she going to come in there pro-abortion, anti-abortion the whole 9. She goes, we going to let it go ahead and stay. This man turning over in his grave, man. But without further ado, we got the man himself. We got the SoFlo legend, straight out of Dade. We got the brother Michael Sterling in the house. What's good, my brother? Welcome.
Hey, man. What they say? I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, yes.
I'm very happy to be
yes,
here.
very, very happy to have you here, bruh. So,
Thanks, man.
Man, my brother, I'm going back to WRBD. I'm taking back to WRBD, Joe Fisher, James T, Chico the Virgo, Duke Ellington, and just, as a shorty, coming up and hearing those tunes on the airway and then seeing you on BET sitting next to, Donnie Simpson, like from the crib, the girl is cheating while she wearing my ring.
Oh, man.
It's like, okay.
You took it back. You took it back. The first video. The first one.
Hey, bruh, so, I know there's steps to get there. And
yes,
so,
sir.
Reading the bio and understanding, like, starting off as a child prodigy, as a musician, and taking that all the way to where you are, bruh. So just tell us, man, for these folks who thinking, Kodak Black is the first artist from from the crib.
Hey, listen, Betty Wright, late great, Betty Wright, Queen Betty. We used to, discuss it, often that we all stand on the shoulders, of the people that came, before us. But in order for one to acknowledge that concept, you'd have to first acknowledge there were people, before you.
Right.
You understand, who paved that way, for us, to get it. So I recall I would be at Betty's, home. I would be at Betty's home, and any record that came on, they're always playing music, at the house. But any song that came on, they knew it.
Wow.
She would call it out. It don't matter from what year, what back, and she would go, you know that? You're the same? That's from 19 how long? You know what I'm saying? And there you go. So, and I could relate to that so much because my whole thing was all the heroes. That's how I looked at them. All of the heroes of the people who were doing that I aspired, I aspired to be that. And so for me, it was that. And it's still to this day, it's to the point where it is that I'm excited about people. You and I were having a conversation, and I told you, that Lenny Williams was getting,
right, August 1st.
Yeah, August
ATL.
1st. Yeah, that he was getting, his roses.
His roses.
Man, listen, I look at everyone and whoever did this thing, guys from here, the Timmy Thomases and the Jimmy Bohorns, man, listen. The first guys, the Cornelius brothers and Sister Rose, who when they had it's too late to turn back now,
Right,
I believe.
right. I believe.
I don't even think people understand, Betty, people used to, call my name in the same breath, as Betty, and I would look at them like they was from outer space. I would go, you do realize that if Betty had a hit, I might have been
Right. You was in Pampers.
10 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And you know what I'm saying?
Right. You was in Pampers.
We talking 60s.
They just seen you around so long, so you just hey, like Teddy T. I saw Teddy T throwback picture the other day at BA, bro. You look like the principal. And I know you was a student. He had a beard back then.
Hey, listen, man. That's my whole thing. Paying attention to people's journeys. Those are the things that cultivated the relationships between E and the Jerry Russians and the James T's and all of these people and Teddy Power. You know what I'm saying? You follow people's career, and at RBD with Joe Fisher. I mean, these are great men.
Yes.
Yes. Great men. That people don't know about, Butterball. So the youngsters,
Right.
when you mention, the Kodak, listen, man, I can tell you about the people in this business, the Joe Metlins and Dave Clarks. These are the first promotion, guys.
Wow.
When Jack, the rapper, started having, family affairs, we would go to the family affair and you would see, people. I was always curious. I mean, I'm just getting going, and they would go like, you know who that is? Man, that's Dave Clark, Joe Menton. Those are the first, record guys. The very first, ones, you know what I'm saying? And people, that was in there, and the Diamond Gym, Sears, and they was like,
there needs to be like a 5 heartbeat type situation, a movie for South Florida, because I know it has its own unique version just because of how things are.
these
I always
guys don't
learn,
know nobody.
yeah, I always learned that, there were issues with folks coming. There were always folks coming to Miami, but you wouldn't get. Some of the tours would never come to Miami. You say, why when the tours come to Miami? They say it's just hard to route.
Hey, listen, there was 2 brothers. They called them the Bannerman brothers. So when we were jits, we would hear these commercials, Bannerman brother production, Bannerman brothers. So these 2 brothers, the first guys, they went to the Highlight Fronton and started putting on concerts. It was my first time seeing Bootsy Collins, the Brothers Johnson, Shaka Khan. They were doing it then. But you ask the average person around it, they have no idea who these people.
Right.
They have no idea who these people are.
Sometimes when you grow up and you go and your memory is kind of off. But tell me this, did I not see Kool and the Gang at Ely High School gym? I'm pretty sure I did, because I remember they had these
I got
umbrellas.
I got something for you right here. I got Joe Fisher on the line right here.
Oh, wow.
Joe Fisher,
Look
I
at
got
that.
Michael Sterling on the line.
Okay, Michael Sterling, what's up, baby?
Hey, man, listen, I'm just in here chopping it up about you, sir. You know what I said? I just told him. I said, Joe Fisher, these are great men. Well, no, you know about radio. And
My goodness. We were talking about you the other day, one of the old friends of mine, and I asked him, had he seen you, and he said he hadn't, but you're still working.
yes, sir, I'm happy to report. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know, Mike.
Joe, listen, man. Publicly, while we're on here, I have to say, I can't thank you enough, man, for what it is that you did, for me and taking a chance on me.
Well, there were times when you helped the radio station, too, Michael.
I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Oh man,
All right, thank you, Joe, man. Appreciate you, brother.
that's a
God
voice,
bless.
man.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Hey man, that's a voice. That's that WRBD.
And listen,
Voice.
man,
Yeah, radio.
listen,
1478.
he trained those guys. When people hear these Chicos, you know, and James and all that, they'll realize that these guys were AM, you know,
That's right.
back there, man.
AM
And we used to-
1470.
It's
Listen,
like-
Joe let me come to. Well, besides them taking the chance to put me on, the radio, but they'd have this event called David Dill
Play Day.
Play Day.
Play day, yes.
And hey, listen, that was my first, you know,
Coming out party.
yeah, man. Especially like besides, you know, with Silver Platinum, they supported us, you know, when we had that first deal with Spectre and Capitol Records. But, you know, when I went solo and I didn't, you know, you don't know that it's gonna work. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
You know, it seems like a good idea at the time.
Right.
You don't really know
Yeah.
that it's gonna work.
How-
People have to actually take a chance, you know, on
Right.
you, you know, and Joe Fisher, you know, took that chance, as did, you know, Jerry, you know, rushing in the Jimmy, you know, you had to know everybody back in the day. You had to know everyone.
go
You had to
touch
know
it.
You had to
George
work.
Cole,
You had to get out there and
Jimmy
work. You couldn't just push a
needed to
button.
know- No, you needed
you
to
had to
know.
work.
You needed to have a relationship with everybody. Not just like, oh, well, let me just go see this program director and he got you. No.
Yeah, to holler at everybody.
Everybody. Man, listen, I can't tell you what guys like Huey, you know, Baby Anderson, but you don't even hear people, you know, mention guys, you know, like that. Or when Joe made George Cole, you know,
Wow.
some of these guys, that guy Maestro Powell. Oh my, listen, the same way I was at BET, and the producer Jeff Newman. And I was just kicking it with Alvin Jones, you know, the other day, you know, at BET. You had to sit in front of everybody and your relationship. And it was like a dual thing for me. Because one of the things about me that a lot of people don't know is that I've always owned these companies, the music, you know, companies. So I control the intellectual property, you know, and having, you know, a company. Now you got to sit in front of people. I wasn't just there as, you know,
Right.
on the behalf
You got
of an
other
artist.
folks coming.
So therefore, you really had to, you know, cultivate relationships, you know, with people. And fortunately enough, you know, for me, through the help of all of these great men, they were able to teach me how it is that I needed to go about it in order to get, you know, the records, you know, played and, you know, and support. Jerry Russian used to, you know, say to me, Michael, you do realize that they already know what you're calling for.
Right, they do.
They know what you're calling for.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a relationship with them or you know anything about the guy, do you know whether or not he has children, kids,
Right,
you know,
right,
teen?
right, right.
Like what is it that you're gonna talk about with them beyond
What
you
you
need
asking
help,
for,
what
right.
you asking
Right,
for? You know, what's they
right,
ask?
right.
You know what I'm saying? So how you gonna get a relationship? You know, and what are you prepared, you know, to do? So no was a very difficult thing to come out of my mouth. Those guys helped me. If Joe Fisher or
Sound
any
like
of those,
pledging.
I used to be in the van. People thought I worked at you know, at EDR.
Right.
They thought I worked there because I was in the van.
Right.
You know, they cart me off to the, you know, to the car dealership.
Right. Right. It sound like pledging. A lot like pledging. A lot like pledging. Mufai music.
Hey, bruh, listen, they thought I worked for the radio.
Mufai.
And there he is, man. The Hot 105 van is, you know, just pulled up and out pops me.
Bam. Bam. But you said something earlier, brother. We got Michael Sterling here on the Ask Mathis show. Blessed and honored to have him here. He's going to be performing tonight at the Cave. You want to tell him a little bit about that before I go into this question?
Yeah, you know what? These gentlemen's my first time seeing it. So they invited me to come there to do a performance, you know, at this place, the Cave. And in my humble opinion, having looked at it, I was like, so these brothers built it's like South Beach, you know, type, you know, stock for their people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yes.
and I couldn't say no to that.
Awesome.
I couldn't say no to that. I had to come down there to be a part, you know, of that, you know, thing. And I'm very excited you know, to be there, you know, to perform there, and they're very nice people too. I really want to say that it's important. Like these days, most people don't care because you know it's such a money-driven, you know, thing.
Right.
But I always think people before that, and I'll tell you a quick story. You know why? One day, I got a phone call. I'm outside, and I got a phone call, and somebody hollered, said, Mike, go hurry up and come to the phone. I was like, why? He said, Barry White's on the phone.
Show you right.
So, you know me, I laughed. I was like,
Yeah, right.
you got jokes. Yeah, well, I don't know Barry White. You know, stop playing. I ain't coming in no, you know, phone. I got no Barry White on the phone, right? So I don't come, you know, doing what we do. All right.
Who this?
So they said, nah, he said he'll call back. I'm like, yeah. Tell him to call back now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right. So I called again. The man called, you know, back, Mike, Barry White on the phone. I'm like, all right, man, you know what? All right, y'all got jokes. All right, I'll play along. I found, you know, I'll come in there, pick up the telephone. All I heard was, Michael.
Knew it
It's
is
Barry. I was like, I thought to myself, it's all right. Somebody really is good. You know what I'm saying? You know, because this brother on the phone
You ought to be in Vegas.
just like Barry White. You know how I'm thinking. And then he said to me, he said, that's because it is me. He real like that.
Right.
He said, it is me. And then he told me where he got my number from. You know what I'm saying? Good, you know, friend of mine, man, one of Flip Wilson's son, you know, ran it to him, and they was talking about me. And he said, hey, man, you want me to call, get him on the phone? And he said, no. Mr. White said, no, I'll call him myself. And he called me and talked to me and invited me to his home.
Wow.
You know, out. And he felt like, you know, hearing, you know, the music. Heard the music, he felt like we had, you know, things,
Right.
you know, in common. And he invited me out there, and when I got a chance to sit, you know, with him, he explained to me, elaborated about relationships, you know, with people. And he talked about some of the stand-up guys in his business. He talked about Don Cornelius, and he said to me, you know, about how much, you know, Don Cornelius is
Soul Train for the
really,
folks out there.
yeah, really a stand-up guy. He told me, he says, really a stand-up, you know, guy. And one thing that I took away from the conversation when we were sitting at the table, you know, having, you know, brunch, lunch, or whatever you want to call it, and he said to me, he says, I'm going to tell you something. He said, you probably know this already, but if you don't, he felt like I would be remiss if I didn't tell you. And he told me, he said, when you walk through this business in your, you know, career, he said to me, you don't need to be concerned about the money. He said, what you need to focus on, just focus on the things you would do, you know, for love, for the love, you know, of it, and the money will come.
Right.
Don't be, you know, financially driven. He said it's got to be about the love, you know, first. And he was emphatic, you know what I'm saying, about it. He was, you know, serious. I likened to it, it was like, he was saying like basketball players. You know, you can see guys out on the court going
It's like
for
they
it.
got guaranteed contracts, so why are they diving on the floor?
Man,
they
they be guys out,
money.
listen, man, you see some guys out at, you know, Sunland Park or, you know, in Dillard Gym.
Right.
They out there playing like if, you know, they getting a check, you
Right.
know, but it's just for the love. It's for the
Yes.
love of the game,
Yes.
you know, and therefore, you know, I carried that with me, you know.
And that transcends music. That's with everything. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So that transcends that. But before I lose this thought, you mentioned you always own the companies
Yes.
and the intellectual property. So I would be remiss, you know, if we did not at least try to talk about the Lovers and Friends and the, you know, Lil Jon and Ludacris and Usher, and how, you know, they paid tribute to you without knowing that they was paying tribute to you.
Listen, John said, I'll tell you, Lil Jon said to me, he knew. John said, that he had told Usher, you know, when they were doing it, that John told me, he says, "But really, man, you know, I remember we was getting an award. John said, I just remixed it. You know what I'm saying? There's really nothing to it." He said, "I had told Usher that if you sing this,
It's out of here.
out of here."
Right.
And John told me on everything, like my boy Chicago say, on God. My man said,
I have the story for that.
he said, listen, he told Usher them that, and they was like, really? They ain't want to do it. He was doing it for the Confessions album. John said, "I was doing it for the Confessions album. We had did the yeah thing," and he told them this right here. And he said, Usher and his people, they was like, "I don't think we need you to say, you know that." So John said, his eyes lit up. He said, "Okay, well, hey, we'll do it for my album." That's how I got on Crunk Juice.
Wow.
And then when the record, you know what I'm saying, you know, hit, I can tell you a story that nobody knows.
Okay.
This, okay, here's
Let's get Ted. Let's get Ted real quick.
I just know that we
Yeah,
had did
that's
the concert that we do every year,
Okay.
and Lil John was there. I booked John to be there, and we was playing the record, and we wasn't playing the record enough. So John said, "Man, tell Kid Curry to play my record, or I ain't showing up for the show." So Kid Curry put that record on blast, right? And the day after the show, he dropped the record, right? So, you know, once you drop a record, you can't play it no more.
Right.
That's like disrespectful, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So Tony Tiger felt bad. So he went to J Records
Okay.
and went through the records and said, "I know there's a record on his album that we can play." And he heard Lovers and Friends. He was like, "Oh, man, that's a classic." And came right down, and he gave it to me first. I played it in the Love Hour first. And we started playing it. And it just immediately just, boom.
Hey, listen, Steve told me from their record company, man, he told me this was the record that they didn't have to spend
No money.
Money on.
None at all.
Right.
He
All we
said
did was play that
Right.
record, and it went number
the
one.
record, right, had, you know, legs out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So John said, you know, well, we know what happened next. Okay, so one day, we won't talk about the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you know, that this record had already shipped all of these records before.
Hey, look, he was so mad because he didn't. When we played the record, he called. He said, "I know it's not your fault, Teddy." He said, "But I will never do nothing for your radio station ever again."
So my man says, wait, I get the, what do you call it? You know, calls like, all right, well, this is obviously happening, you know, and so the next call that I got after the record is already rolling, because we happen to run into some promotional records, and the promotional disc had the original Lovers and Friends and their Lovers and Friends on the same record. It went out in the radio stations. The record, you know what I'm saying, you know, went out. So it's like one pull, you know what I'm saying, you know, the next. We discovered, you know, that. But it's like, okay, cool. But here's the lick. This is the lick that I thought was a little saucy. It's funny, man, because, you know, I really love all of those guys. I love, you know, Usher. I'm a, you know, fan. I like, you know, Usher. I mean, how cool is that, man? Usher was around here at Foresight Records with Billy Hines. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know, she's,
right.
but I mean, you know, I like, so I was, you know, with it. Who everyone loves Luda? I mean, how could, you know, not love Luda? You know what I'm
Love
saying?
Luda, yeah.
You can't get no flyer than
So
that.
who
Nah,
did the
that's
bad business?
Like, TVT did the bad
TVT.
business. You know, essentially they did the bad business.
So that's
Though I
John-
don't
on
think
John's side.
I'm not certain that they knew that they did the bad business. So here's what happened. So John asked, you know, a friend to see me at a video shoot. You ain't seen me in nobody's videos because I don't really do you know stuff. But it's like, yeah, all right, man, do your thing. So I never go. So, but a friend of mine come to me and he says, man, John say, man, if you could just please, man, come down. You know, he would like to have a conversation. you know what I'm saying, with you, about this situation that's going on. So they were shooting the song Kulo.
Right, with Pitbull.
Right.
I just
Okay.
did that.
So,
it was all in the
Come
same-
down there, you know what I'm saying, Brian, who was AR, you know what I'm saying, for TVT at, the time and everything like that. We're in there, they cleared the room, kicked everybody out of the building, cleared the room. Nobody in that room, me, Lil John, you know what I'm saying, it's all, TVT, we having a conversation. My friend, Ferguson, so I'm listening. I'm trying to hear, okay, what do they have to, I hear, man, my man John said to me, John said, Mike, I just wanted to clear the air, it is not me who, did this. First of all, I'm the producer, man, I don't clear records. We make the records, we turn the stuff, in.
That's what happened.
We expect them to get
do the
the
business.
business.
Yeah, they didn't. They probably didn't know.
They gave us the record.
But he
I'm telling
knew,
you, they
but-
gave us the record, and we took off on the record before the business was
Right,
done.
so-
we made the record number
Okay.
one before the record.
So there
was
you
done.
go.
That's what
so
happened.
Teddy them didn't, they didn't bust the record. You know what I'm saying? The record started running down the street. Okay, the album is out. When the thing is on my desk, somebody sent me the record. I get the CD is on my desk. I'm like, I don't have no sign off. On this. So
So who you call? Do you call your accountant? Do you call your lawyer? Do
Hey,
you call
listen,
your
wait,
investment guy?
Let me tell you
Like,
what
who do you
happened.
call?
Let me tell you what happened. So
First.
so Betty Wright called me. Boy, look at that. There go Betty right down the wall. So Betty calls me. Betty says, Michael, these guys are been looking, for you. I was like, I told her, I said, but I ain't one nine. You know what I'm saying? I'm an easy guy to find. They told me they cut the record over in Circle House. How much harder can you bend it? I've been within the circle for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how hard is it? It's a short walk. You know what I'm saying? From the Cabana studio. You know what I'm saying? To find me. Who they talking to? They was convinced that they needed to go and find the white man. Because there's no way that, like most people, you know what I'm saying? If you're looking for a Johnny Gill record or somebody, record, you don't figure that Johnny can't own the record. You know what I'm saying? I need to be going to Motown. You know what I'm saying? I know he don't own it. You know what I'm saying? The baby. So these guys just took up the mantle and figured that it was, like that. So by the time a letter came in the mail that I got, man, the record already,
Number one. It was
bruh,
gone.
the record running.
Broke the window.
So I told Betty, I was like, Betty said, don't be too hard on them. Mike, that's like,
Yeah, you got to
you
come
can't
off the
have
top
no
rope.
choice. You can't no
They
choice
gonna
'cause
be
it
all
already-
right.
listen, man.
It already did its course.
So my brother, the great Ted Lucas. Shout out for Ted Lucas. Slip and slide.
Slip
Boy,
and
we are all
slide.
family.
Touche.
Okay, so Shay called me. Shay say, Mike, man, I need to have a meeting with you.
Oh no!
Okay,
when you get
give on me.
when you get the touche call,
Wait.
it's gonna
Wait.
come to a conclusion.
Shay say,
It's
man.
gonna come to a conclusion.
Shay say, man, I got a meeting, man. We got to meet. I come to the meeting.
Oh,
Where we
wow.
gonna meet at? Shay, we gonna meet at Circle House. I come to the room. Shay sitting in there with Phaedra Parks. He's in there on face.
Okay.
And here the conversation come again. All right, here we go. Everybody trying to figure out how can we defuse the bomb. You know what I'm saying? In the center, I was like, first of all,
And this is before. Your case. For modern people, for the folks that's understanding what's going on in contemporary music, I would say was the precedent for the blurred lines.
no doubt.
Is definitely the precedent for the blurred lines.
No doubt.
And that was Marvin Gaye's Estate versus, Robin Thicke and T.I.
Yeah. Only this one is sexier. And the reason why it's sexier is because, okay, so you're thinking about me, the artist. You're not thinking about me, the
That's why I
businessman.
said owning the companies
right.
and the intellectual
So
property.
right.
That's
So
why
you
we
don't.
own
So
this.
you don't know about my
Right.
business acumen.
Right.
So at TVT, they had no idea who they was talking to. I called them, and I asked to speak, to Steve. And I told him, he was like, okay. Finally got him on the phone. I told him, I said, you, sir, are selling my property. He asked, who are you? I said, this is Michael Sterling. And you, sir, said, are selling my property. I'm sorry. I said, you know what? I know so many people in this business. But to your bad luck, the 3 people who I don't know Usher, I don't know John, I don't know Luda. And I don't know you. Business. I said, that's to your bad luck. So I said all of that to get back to when John invited me down there. And John said, to me that is what happened, that they were supposed to clear the record and they didn't clear the record. Not that they knew that they would clear the record, because I may have said no.
Right.
I don't really say yes to, a lot of things. Like I said yes to Trick, Daddy for the Thug Holiday.
Thug Holiday.
But Trick got on the phone personally.
That's right.
And he rapped.
And told you about Holiday and what it meant to him.
Thank
as
you.
a gent
And I
coming
asked
up
him,
and what he would do with
what
this record.
are you planning on doing? And he told me, he said, man, it's my brother Hollywood's favorite, song. And he started spitting, some of the lyrics, and it touched me. And I said,
Right.
I'm going to say yes, man. It's a yes for me, brother.
Right.
What I'm saying? It's a yes.
How many Prince samples do you hear? Don't hear a whole lot. How many Michael Jackson samples do you hear?
Exactly.
You don't hear a lot.
Because sometimes the
Luther-
answer is no.
Yeah, Luther didn't do it. And it's funny, I was listening to a story about Rick James today.
Okay.
And Rick James, the same thing happened in 1990 with Hammer and Can't Touch This.
Yeah, definitely.
And he was like, the record took off, and he's saying exactly what Michael Sterling is saying today. He says, I would not have cleared that record. I would have said no. Because Rick James owned his master.
Right,
Exactly. He owned the record. He said, I would have said no. But it ended up to this day, they still paying. So
They asked to keep, a percentage, of the record.
Can we ask? I don't want to. Can we ask about the Ball Greasy record? Can we ask about that? Because that's another story.
That is a story, man. That is a story. And let me tell you, that one almost went left.
Yeah.
That one almost went, left. The one that didn't go left is shout out to DJ Smurf. Smurf calls me in the midst of this TVT battle and says to me, Mike, I don't want to have a problem with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have a problem with you. I want to come through the front door. You know what I'm saying? Not the back. I said, what you trying to do, Smurf? Smurf says, let me send it to you, man.
Right.
I got this record.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
that's how you
That's how you do it.
For USA, United States of Atlanta
That's how you
album with
right.
Yin Yang
That's how
Twins.
you supposed to do it.
With Avant. Song is called Bedroom Boom. And he sent me, the record. He said, hey, man, do what you could do for me, man. And I don't want to have no problem if you like John. But when I sat next to John that day, John said, look, I had respect, for the thing, man. I see it in the, in the song in the club, in the A, and all that, because it was a big record, V103. They showed me big time, love, to sing, there. And so John felt like, yo, man, I help, something.
Right.
And John is a guy that's very difficult not to like.
No, he's a regular. He's a very regular
no knucklehead
person.
At all.
He's intelligent. He's
Very
a very regular
intelligent.
and he came up as a DJ.
Yeah,
so
man.
he came up in the grind as opposed to coming up
Good
as an
dude,
artist
man.
and a producer. So he not gonna come in and go Hollywood on you. He gonna come and give it to you strange, just so the Ask Mathis portion can just put a little bouquet on this before we let the artist continue. We're talking about clearing records. And so what a lot of, artists today, what they do, and I'm not gonna call any names, but what some of the artists do nowadays is they go ahead and get the sample that they want, they put it out there, and then they just put it in the streets to see whether or not it catches some buzz.
Right.
And if that record catches some buzz, that's when they're gonna go and start and reach out, try to get the clearances and do whatever, because they don't have the resources, they don't have the funds to pre-clear the stuff, and they don't want to do that if nothing happens. And specifically, you mentioned Greasy with the nice and slow record with Freddie Jackson.
Yeah.
I say Grease. I said, but this record got legs. I said, this record got legs. I said, what about hollered at Freddie?
Yeah.
And Greasy looked at me like, I said, bro, what that mean? He said, bro, I'm gonna let it do what it do. And I hope we got to go see him, because we got to go see him. That means it's gonna do something. Because at that time, he was grinding locally. But when you have 8 artists like Ludacris,
the
Lil
biggest
Jon,
guys in the game,
and Usher, they can't come and play that. Because one thing that we understand, every Flow Rider hit record, regardless of, I'm always going to get a copyright infringement from somebody from Timbuktu.
Right. Here they come.
They're going to say, man, that's my right. You listen to it,
and
nothing.
here it come.
But when everybody heard Lovers and Friends, it's like,
everybody.
that's Lovers and Friends. Like y'all ain't even, when you hear
and name the record Lovers and Friends.
The thing is, that was the problem. Like when Wes Carter went up there, he was, it was kind of before the album started, and when he heard that record, he was like, "That's a no-brainer. That's a record, because it's a Miami record."
Sure.
So he just took it and and bought it to us like Teddy. And I'm like, and I called John. John was like, "Yo, man, we haven't did no business. We haven't did nothing." I was like, "Well, you're gonna have a hit record on your hands, so."
Yeah,
and
man.
It just took off, and I was like, he called. He was like, "Man, I don't. I know it's not your fault, but I will never do nothing for Power 96 ever again."
And when you do that, and when you're a artist and you do that, and you take another artist's property, it's like taking a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm sure that song means things to you that the world has no idea what it means.
Hey,
For somebody to come, not give you the credit, not put you,
man.
all these other things. You have the right under the law to demand everything.
It was just,
you don't have to give up anything.
Listen, man, it was just bad luck, on their part. You know what I'm saying? What are the chances? Like, these 3 guys that's on here, you don't know them. I don't know these dudes. Well, let me tell you how smart their attorneys was. Well, let me tell you. Okay, first, Steve gonna use up his brain and decide that we gonna go to court. We saw the record, it was hilarious, because they had given everybody credit, and I'm on him. So, the first thing we thought, wait, also, I'm sorry, where we come from, that's called willful infringement.
Right, because you know the person and you put his name on
along with you guys, you know what I'm saying, name. Yeah, sir, there's no wiggle room for you. That means you knew it wasn't yours when you pulled the trigger.
Yeah, but they knew.
And so Kendall Mentor, and I, was rolling, but I had the Universal Dream Team. And when I say the Dream Team, all the way, go about as far up in the legal world as you could possibly get when it comes down to intellectual property. And this is, this is who we had. We're all the way up there, bruh. Right. But they decided they want to, test it to see whether or not, how far, we can, we
can. What was even their argument? What was even the argument to you? Like, I don't care what they, but to you, what did they try to tell you that the words or that it's Usher?
I really felt bad for John, and I'm gonna tell you, why? Because I said to John when we were sitting, at the meeting, I said, John, you do realize that in your contract, they have clauses to protect them. That
Yeah.
in the event
It says that you
record
have
comes-
to clear it. If you're the producer,
Thank you.
every
And
every
therefore-
record side artist
and
deal that we
therefore-
do, if you are the producer and
All
if
right.
we're
But
you
using
know-
this right
but
here,
you know Lil
it is
Jon-
clear, and
You're not
you
go-
going to indemnify.
Thank you.
Which means you're going to hold harmless
Steve,
the
remember,
label
but Steve
for
had
your
owned Lil Jon's publishing
infringement.
anyway.
For your
Steve had
infringement.
already owned Lil Jon publishing from the
The
beginning.
problem was that this not only a question of publishing,
Mm-hmm.
this stopped TBT from having to pay him
Mm-hmm.
anything. So you're having the biggest record of your
Right.
artistry,
Yeah.
career, and they got the money frozen because
It's
there you
tied
go.
up.
You realize that as a result of that, John never delivered. What was the thing? Crunk Rock, the follow-up album. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, to that.
Well, all that too, because at the same time, because of Julian, because Julian put out Mr. 305,
Yeah.
and they sued him, and then he
Yeah.
countersued them. They
Bad
went out
idea.
of business from that point.
Bad idea.
You know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
TBT went out of business over that Pitbull.
That's what I just said.
with
That's what
Ted-
that's what I
yeah,
just
with
said.
Ted,
Yeah.
That was
Ted,
it.
with Ted,
But
Ted
see-
but it was
hit them.
Julian, though.
There was just falling, and they was fighting everything.
Wait. But see,
They was
Julian used
fighting
Mr.
everything
305.
and losing.
Hey, Reggie.
TBT was fighting everything
This is-
and losing.
this is
So
the-
you can't get a $12 million verdict against you or a $9 million verdict against
see,
you. You're
now,
not going
I'm
to
about
stay
to
in
tell
business.
you. See, now this is the difference between he and those guys. See, some people looking at the money.
Mm-hmm.
But you're in the business. It's a lot of us that's in the business, but you don't actually know the business.
Right.
So, you don't understand what's going on here. So, when the situation came to me, I was like, all right, well, okay, what we going to do? I was a little salty that they put me through that 10-hour deposition.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go the whole route. And I had Russell Frackman. And those in the music industry who's listening understand who Russell Frackman is. If you look at the top 10 intellectual, lawyers in the business. Look at the top 10. You know what I'm saying? Look and see where Russell Frackman is. Okay, so I got Russell, I got Kendall, and Universal have sent the head of their, folk, in there. So we know those guys are the guys who took down Napster. They couldn't even remember the last case they lost. They couldn't even remember it. These guys made me go all the way up till Thanksgiving, the Friday after Thanksgiving, with us getting ready to go to the courthouse, on Monday. Well, we knew they was bluffing because, as you said, what strategy you gonna go tell the people? What you gonna tell them?
Hey, that's what you gonna say. That made
Man,
the record at
so-
the time, man. Lil Jon was so hot. Him saying, "Hey," that's
Hey, and
take it
so,
number. That's a number one record.
that's
About it.
After that, we said they decided, nah, they wanted to settle. They didn't want to go.
They never
They
wanted
never
to go.
intended to
They
go.
never
They
intended
just
to
was
go.
trying to
No,
see
they
whether or
wanna-
not.
See how far
because
you
expected,
could go.
right? That's
Right.
that's
I
what
wanna
it's
see how
all
far
about.
you
me
could go.
all
See what
kinds
you
of,
can do. Right.
come on, man, some foo-foo, numbers, right? Okay, so
Right.
once
if
they
a man is
realize,
desperate, then that's what you're gonna do. You could be
dep-
sitting there with all this that you
Oh,
have
yeah.
willing to go, and then you go smoke a cigar afterwards.
go.
Like, man, I was willing to give him the whole
the
caboodle.
deposition
The whole
made
kit
them,
and caboodle.
made them fold. But here's my position. My position was, all right, I'm not trying to put the man out of business. So he came. I'm not.
I'm sorry for laughing, but
I wasn't trying to do it. I wasn't trying to do it.
But I will make them start with like with one cart
I'm saying.
instead of a whole
I
combo.
wasn't trying to put them out of business because, I understand that these things happen. Oh, look at my granddaughter is showing up.
Oh, she's showing
in
so
there.
much love.
Go ahead, wave to the people.
She's showing so much love.
You know what I'm saying?
She's showing the camera over there. Look,
Yeah,
she's
see?
showing so much love.
Which one?
See?
Which one?
Hey, that's
Yeah,
what's
you
up.
did. Okay.
That's what's up.
So
That hug is like,
yeah,
Grandpa, I'm hungry.
yeah.
You said it was gonna be a few minutes.
Yeah, when
We gotta go. We need to go do that.
Tell her that she's not the boss of me. You can believe that if you don't believe water's wet. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to run it, man. So anyway, but like I said, I wasn't trying to put the guy out of business. So my position, was, okay. So he asked if he could do installments. That's what he asked. I was like,
So this ended up being Lil Jon having to do it all because they done position him with the clauses where he's like, bruh, this gonna fall on me, dog.
hey, man.
And you was like, well,
Steve said that that's what
you
you
grown.
wanted to do. I decided, okay, well, hey.
oh, so Steve was gonna do it. He was gonna
No,
pay it, or-
Steve. Yeah, TVT. The fold. I never sued John. I didn't really. If you know, in the press, dig it up in the vlogs. I never had anything.
I mean, because
bad to say.
it wasn't about.
I
John.
never said anything about
No, it was.
John.
They, trust me, with the indemnification, whatever they
In
paid
the clause,
him,
right?
they,
The pressure, exactly.
John
that's what they
owed them.
intended.
Owed them,
That's
right.
what they
so
intended
you
on
just
doing.
understand, like,
But I never had a problem
that he
with
was
John.
really,
But
really
that's what I'm saying.
settling
It was,
with John.
It was TVT's fault because
course.
they gave the record
And
to, and that's what John knew. I told him
Yeah.
John knew that, so John.
It wasn't on
They
John.
may not have even known.
It wasn't
like
on
they
Usher.
may not have known because, let's say, for instance, you go get an old Kenny G record. Go get an old Kenny G record or something like that. That was here, that was bubbling, that we knew, and somebody in California just hear something, or somebody in Florida get a MC80E record or a Egyptian Lover record. That's not from California, and it's down here. You just like, man, that record live. Man, I could do
Yeah,
something with
exactly.
this. So you
Right.
come and give it to these guys who don't really follow the culture, man. You go to some of their houses, man, they ain't listening to none of this stuff. They listening to Bach and Sinatra, and they just making money off
There you
our
go.
backs. So they don't know, and that's why they put it in these clauses that, hey, these producers that's coming with this stuff,
Of course.
y'all
They
gotta
put it in
clear
there.
y'all gotta clear it.
Yeah. But I don't spray people. It's not my way. It's not my way. So I had nothing bad to say about Usher. You know, Luda was a no-brainer because Universal has a policy. Universal's policy is that, you know, we don't sue within the company, and Luda was, you know, we settle. We don't do that. I wouldn't have done it anyway. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a question, you know, of that. But when dude asked about installments, you know, I was cool with that. I used to represent Jackie O a little longer, right? So during that time, I had been in the TVT building. No one realized when I was meeting with their people that I was the same Michael Sterling until my second time going to TVT.
Oh yeah, they know you
In
now.
which case then, Steve busted in and he asked if he could have a few words with me when we finish meeting, you know, about about this stuff, right?
Right.
I told him fine. Actually, I like the dude. It was really he asked me for something that was reasonable, I would say. It's reasonable what he asked me for. But if I said to him, it was funny, I said, Steve, let me ask you something. When have you ever seen in any crime in which that, let's say it's a diamond heist, where is it, if you have ever seen that people said, well, yo, man, well, let me just keep 3 of the diamonds. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, we'll work it out. You know what I'm saying? You know, from there, you know, it's like,
Rush Hour. Was that Rush Hour?
let me just keep 3 of the diamonds, man. If you just let me keep 3 of the diamonds, you know what I'm saying? You know, everything will be fine. He asked me for 15% because he wanted to do the video. He felt like, listen, man, if I could give them each, you know, 5%, you know, each. If you notice, Lovers and Friends is one of the unique records that went all the way to number 1 that never
They
had
never
a video.
had a video.
That's what he said that he wanted to do. But the reason why the ask didn't work was because they had taken so long that Lance Freed, you know, had asked him, you know, listen, here's what I'm prepared to do for you. License the record properly. We will save you money, you know, the Harry Fox, you know, singing agent fees would license the record, you know, saying, you know, properly, sir. This is what you need to do. Pay this, pay that, you know what I'm saying, and go about your business. But instead, you made me spend all of this money. I don't know, bro. The number had to be, I know I spent at least like $1.4 million, something like that.
On the lawsuit?
Yeah, with these clowns. You know what I'm saying? Knowing full well they wasn't gonna want to go to court no how. Some number like that. You know what I'm saying? You know,
having to go and get an expert when it's clear that it's your record, but you have to come with an expert.
we just did all of this stuff, and then they, never.
charges.
And then we never went to court. It never, since started. But I still was cool because I got to tell you, really, I was talking to Steve, Gottlieb, when like I said, I like that guy. When I went to his office after that, meeting, I sat there. He sat there like this. And he just looked at me.
Yeah.
He just looked at me.
Yeah.
For a while.
Was that a power move? Was that a power move or no?
Well,
Well,
sometimes
they say
you just
he's-
want to look. You want to look into
But
the
he got
soul.
2 degrees, man. He went to Harvard and he went there,
like,
Yale or something like that.
Like Bush said, he looked into the eyes of Vladimir Putin and saw his soul. You know what I mean? Like, so some people feel like, it's intimidating if they come in
Right.
and they, especially if this person who's feeling like, he's intellectually superior, look at you and he's expecting you to put your eyes down, not to look him in the eye, to look down. The eye is going to, show the dynamic of the power situation.
Okay.
To see, like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So you're the guy.
Right.
You're the guy.
Right.
What I admire
I got you.
about Steve and TVT is I thought it was absolutely amazing how a complete independent could take that many records to the promised land. Listen, them wasn't 2 Live Crew success, records.
Right.
We talking about these guys literally went and penetrated the mainstream and took all the way. It wasn't TVT slash Atlantic, TVT slash no.
Remember they
had
came
an
in. They
algorithm.
was called Blunt Records first,
Yeah,
and then they became TVT.
They had an
started
algorithm before there was an algorithm.
No, their history is TV Tunes is what the TVT stood for. Those are the guys who released the album full of television show
Right.
tunes. Should be like the Ballad of Jed and here's a story of a man named Brady and sold millions of records. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell you as a business person,
You respect
I
that.
was a fan. I
Right,
was like
right.
spellbound going, this is absolutely amazing what these people have done.
It was crypto in the music lane.
But the problem that he had is that he decided to dance that dance, with Lance Freed.
No, he
And
felt
for
he was
those
untouchable.
who do not know who Lance Freed is, Lance Freed's father was Alan Freed. That's the guy who coined the phrase rock and roll, who started. And Lance, was head of Almo, Irvin, so part of the Universal, team. And so Lance told me, he had a conversation with Steve, and he told him, he says, well, picture this right here. Right? He said, picture this. Paul McCartney writes a song called Yesterday. And you all decide that your artist is going to add a couple of verses to it. So is the song now written by Paul McCartney and your 2 artists?
Listen.
So Lance said, so if Michael Sterling is our Paul McCartney
Right.
and Lovers and Friends is our Yesterday, you think that because you all decided to add a couple of rap verses, to it,
that's
that
not
now
gonna-
the song is written by, by Michael, you understand, and you guys?
Right.
So Lance told him, license the song as a cover, sir. And we
Stop
will,
playing. Right. Stop
quit playing and going on about your business.
stop
But
playing.
when he didn't do it,
That's when
that
you
is
gotta,
when
that's
they
you gotta-
asked me and
yeah.
said, look, man, we're not going to don't do anything, don't do anything with these guys because, Russell Frackman said, and I quote, and I rarely ever say things that, because Russell is such a pillar of the legal, community, man, and a very nice man. He spoke to me like a man, like his son. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, he's so humble. Imagine the head of a firm, like that. Hey, I'll pick Mike up, just let from the hotel. I don't have to do that, Russell, did it. But Russell told Steve's attorney, he said, you know what? You people need to learn how to respect people's time. Because, it was fluff. You know what I'm saying? Why are you dragging us, in here that we have to come down here and go through this when you have no case?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It happens. It happens.
Man,
I just finished something last week. It happens. It happens. We supposed to start trial July 1st. We come in. Their side missed every deadline. I filed all the deadlines. Witness list, exhibit list, my expert, all my stuff or whatever. And all they doing is talking about the process. Oh, you sent this to me at this time and you didn't do this there. And we get in there and we go to the judge. I said, okay. So we go in front of the judge and the judge is like, Mr. Mathis, they're requesting the continuance. I'm like, I object, Judge. We ready for trial.
We ready right now. Let's roll.
It's like, well, he said he didn't mind us filing a cross claim against each other. I said, Jan, I don't mind them filing a cross claim against each other because, frankly, I don't care who's going to pay my client. One of them's going to pay my client, and which one of them it is, they're fighting, I don't really care. So, yeah, I said I have no objection to their cross claim, but as long as we keep that July 1st date. And the judge was like, well, you know what? This case has been going on since 2016. Mr. Mathis wants to go forward with the case. We're going to go forward with the case. So I know once judge said that, they go 1-2 more days,
right,
just filing some stuff.
Dances.
And I'm just looking. I'm just looking at it because I said, they don't have no witnesses. Because the deadline for witnesses passed.
Yes, right.
They don't have no witnesses.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
Yeah, lose.
So then, then the guy come with the last one. He was like, we got holiday plans for my family on 4th of July. You mean to tell me you're gonna hold me up as a fellow lawyer? I said, listen, as the primary breadwinner in my family, it is not uncommon for me to join my family at a later date, at a later time. Because they understand I gotta go get this bread to feed my family.
Okay.
And I got one on the hook right now. Because y'all ain't filed no witness list, no exhibit list. The next day, proposal for settlement. I'm like, that's what do you guys, what is their defense going to be to lovers and friends?
There was no defense.
There was no defense. So to drag somebody that long, you got to pay. And I got to go because the rider is at the airport and he hit me 911.
Hey.
So I got to take this call. But Teddy, rock with Brother Sterling. Let me go talk to the rider.
Hey, Teddy,
and,
listen, man.
Let me hit y'all right back.
You know how these guys, do it. The thought process is always music first and then business, second. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been an advocate, for telling people that, well, it's not illegal for you to make the record.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I always
you
tell
can
them,
make the record. It's just trying
you
to sell
want
it.
to experiment, you know what I'm saying, on it to see whether or not, it does something for you. So I will tell people like, hey, man, you make it, so make it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to it. Mm-hmm. Send it to me. Don't send it to me. You know what I'm saying? If you want, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not illegal. You know what I'm saying? To do it. But, hey, if you intend, to do something, with it, it is at that point, I believe, that truly, man, it would behoove you, you know what I'm saying, to definitely take a look at what it's going to take, on both sides of that.
And I think that the easier way is always licensing. Is always the easiest way to really get. That's why I tell people, when you deal with samples, just license it as a cover and you can do whatever you want with the record. You know what I'm saying? And people still, just not wanting to do business. And I tell people it's 90% business, 10% talent, music. You know what I'm saying? If you come in and do the business from the beginning.
Yeah, you got a shot. Because then now you can get, what I try to do, man, listen, I tell everyone who's involved with me, do not invite your friends to litigation. Don't do that. Don't invite your friends to litigation. Man, don't do that. Protect your people.
That's
man. Sometimes creative guys, that I know, have a wonderful idea, and they'll bring it out like, yeah, man, that record is dope. However, you do realize.
I mean, I think it's cool. Like me and you, we've been together with a lot of different things. You know, with that record, and then working with Jackie O.
Sure,
You know,
exactly.
when I came back, and when I started working with Jackie, and I was kind of skeptical in the beginning, but when I saw that you was there, I was like, oh, okay, at least there's some type of structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I found out that, she really wasn't, the maniac that people thought
At all.
That
They portrayed her to be.
right. And while other people are surprised at her move to spirituality, I am not one of them because she always told me that she could walk away. She could walk away from this. It didn't mean that, to her. I mean, she had funny things, at one point, like when everybody was going through their shine thing, what it is. One time she said something to me. I laughed so hard. It was like the funniest thing. And she didn't find the humor in it at the time. She went back to find the humor in it later on.
Right.
But she said to me that if she had $250,000, that she would take it and buy a Bentley, right? And that was funny to me. It was like cartoons and shit. I was like holding my side, I was like, wait, let me get this straight. In my office, I said, you take your last $250,000 and you'd buy a Bentley. She said, absolutely. I said, Angela, let's talk about this for a second. Because apparently you're really looking at this thing. You're looking at this thing the wrong way. You don't understand. The end game is for you to acquire more intellectual property so that people stop looking at you as their asset and you start looking at the other business, of how many assets you can acquire. That's how we got to the studio thing. That's how she got, room, because I bought the stuff. I told her, I says, this isn't really that difficult, You got to set, this up, teach me so that you can, record yourself.
Right.
And therefore, you'll stop looking at these other people like they're superheroes because they're not nearly as significant, as some of these DJ guys are a whole lot more significant than some of these other guys, you know what I'm saying, who's talking to you about, beats and things and all of that, stuff.
Right.
And I told her, I says, and consequently, just so that you know, at the end of the day, you are the prize.
Right.
Just in case,
And it was just minimal
You
stuff
don't know.
because back then I hooked up with Bigger Rankins. Bigger made that mixtape.
Yeah, man.
And it was all over from that. It was just simple stuff and then just to continue, the work. And it's just really, coming up, I had Joe Fisher. I'm on the radio. You know what I'm saying?
No
I
doubt.
didn't go to school for radio, but I got put with the people that created it. You know what I mean? So from Joe Fisher to Jerry Russian to Jim Sears.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? These are the people that mentored me to be what I am with radio. You know what I'm saying?
They are.
So I tell artists today, I had an artist in here the other day. He didn't know who Trina was.
Oh, damn.
And he's from South Florida.
Damn.
And he did not know. He told me, oh, you talking about the lady on the radio?
Wow. Real tough.
Yeah.
The morning show.
Right. But he's an artist, but this is what these kids think. All they know is right now.
Yeah.
They
don't
can't
know
tell
the
you
past.
5
Yeah.
years, 10 years.
know,
and I'm like,
man.
there's no way you could be an artist and not know the history of where you at. If you don't know these people, you know what I mean? Like I remember like 83, 84 when you came out with Luke, and it was like, whoa, Luke got an R&B artist, and you had the Jerry Curl Afro.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like,
And let me tell you something. Luke never owned any of
Right.
our stuff.
Right.
Let me tell you what the arrangement was, which a lot of people don't know. I ran into Luther. We all know each other. We would see each other in passing because they were DJ guys. Like,
Right.
what record man don't know the DJ guys?
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
sacrilegious.
The new
right?
ones.
You know,
The
okay.
new ones.
Right. So there you go. So he's not a record guy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That not even remotely close to it. So what happened is, tend to have friends that have things. I have friends, they own pressing plants and all that stuff. So one day, I see Luther is walking down, the street. He's trying to find how to get a stamper made in the record press. And so I see him, and he says, Sterling, I'm trying to find this place, man. What do you call it? These records are, so I asked him, what are you doing? He said, he was salty, because Amos Larkin had made the Ghetto Jump record.
Right.
That, Luke and the kids was out doing the Ghetto Jump dance.
They was doing the dance, right.
They was doing the dance. And Henry, Stone, he said had promised them, that he was going to look out, Amos, did the record. But that didn't happen. That right there was the birth of, the Luke Records thing. So Luke got the opportunity, with the troops, to make, the 2 Live, to throw the D record. So Luke was looking to get the record pressed, and I'm in the place with my friend, Glenn Narain, who owned, Magnum pressing plants. We do this all day, every day. Right? Okay. So I told him, okay. And then he had PSK with him. Schoolie D had given that record, you know what I'm saying? To press that, that record, to do the PSK, record. Okay, so, all right. I told him, I said, yep. Introduce him to, the Buster Monty, you know what I'm saying, from Columbia, who do the nickel and the stampers, everything. And we got the thing done. So after that, he and I, was chopping it up. And he said, that, yeah, man, he was going to try to make a run, for, with this, label thing. And I told him I'd listen to the records, and I was like, my Lord, quality control, sir. This ain't going, the redneck boys say, this ain't going to get her done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the quality say, this ain't going to happen right here, man. So he and I, he was like, yo, man, have a, come holler at me, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's sit down and chop it up, make something. So he said to me, he say, hey, man, if you want to be a friend, I'll show you, you know what I'm saying, that I know how to be, a friend, man. I could be, you know what I'm saying, I could be a friend too. Good, okay. That's how, you talking and shit. So the jug is, all right. I will make the records. We'll do the, the situation. He gonna be, you know what I'm saying, office. I say, but now I guess, I'm gonna spend so much time doing the records at this, company. I'm not gonna have time, to do. So he was like, well, we'll use my people, to put out, your records, while you in there making those records. So at the time, I was making first of all, black engineers was close to like none,
right.
So, at that time, so I was in there making that whole company's record, everybody's record, 2 Live, Anquid, LaWan, every MC Twist and the Death Squad.
I would see your name everywhere. That's why I saw your name, and then I saw the music, and I'm like, okay. Because I'm a kid, but I'm studying everything. I'm learning this as I go along because I could bring another name who I introduced Newkirk to. We have Nick Solano. That works with us. You know what I'm saying? I brought Nick here. We do a show called Origins where we talked about things with you and you guys from back in the day.
He worked at my first record label. When I came back here from New York, because I was in New York, with Bill Underwood and Val Hackett, at Underwood and Associates, and Bill was representing and doing stuff. This is before Johnny Gill came to the company. I was there, but I came back, to Florida, and I had left Silver Platinum, and decided to go solo thing. But I decided I would open up a label called Success Records, and we got Nick Salerno. He was in office. He had just had he hadn't even had the baby, wasn't even born yet. You know what I'm saying? With this woman, and everything. Nick, introduced me to Priscilla Chapman, God rest her. She was the publicist, at the, time. And Nick ran the promotion, stuff. As a matter of fact, it was Nick's idea to even do this. Jack the Rapper stuff, and all of that. And Nick introduced me to the National Jocks. And one of the agreements that we had is that Nick was able to work any record that he was still working all of his other stuff. So Nick had the Tommy Boy, record, accounts. He had Streetwise, record account, with Arthur Baker and the AEIOU and Sometimes Y and all of that. Play at your own risk, all of that. It was Nick Salerno. Nick had all of that stuff. So Nick introduced me, to a bunch of, DJ guys, and talked about the game. And the most significant of all the people that he introduced me to was a gentleman by the name of Scotty Andrews, who was the program director at V103 at the heyday, you know what I'm saying, of V103. But Scotty Andrews asked for him and everybody to lead a room. Okay. Just me and him, one-on-one. And Scotty Andrews said to me, he said, I'm 22 years old at the time. Scotty Andrews said to me, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you got here. To the point where it is that you head of a record company at 22 years old. And he saw I had all of these esteemed Jewish partners in finance, you know what I'm saying, guys. He says, I don't know how you got here. But he told me, he says, I'm going to teach you something here today, son. I'll tell you what he taught me. Scotty said, Michael, let me teach you this right here. When you come into the office of a radio station, program director, DJs, anybody, he says, sir, you need to learn this, and you need to learn this quick. You are asking the wrong question.
All right.
I asked him, what question is that? He says, I asked you wanted to know what I thought about the record. You wanted to know what I thought about the record.
Wow.
Scotty Andrews said, you're the president of a record company that has the ability to send records up the chart, and you're asking me what it is that I think. He said, when record executives have selected their artists, signed their artists, sent them to the studio, and come out of there, with a record, when they come to an office, they don't give a damn what I think. You're only in here asking for support, you know what I'm saying, on the record. You asking you don't need me to A&R your record. The record already, the money been spent already, son.
Nick, I got Nick Solano. I got Nick Solano on the phone. We got Michael Sterling in the room. Mike, he's here.
Nick, baby love.
What's happening, gentlemen?
How you doing, Nick?
I'm hanging tough.
That's good, man.
It's been a long road to hoe, but hanging tough. It's nice to talk to you, Mike. I'm glad to see you're still making noise.
Absolutely. Nick, I'm in here telling them about, how it is that, hey, man, you introduced me to all the Jockenstein and Scotty Andrews and, all of these guys, man. These radio guys, these national radio guys, man.
It was an awful lot. It was, more of a family situation back in the day.
No
it
doubt.
Wasn't so, today it's like everybody's a robot, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Back in the day, guys like Elroy Smith in Chicago and
Yep.
like you mentioned, Scotty Andrews, God rest his soul.
Yeah, man.
From V103 in Atlanta and
Yeah.
And Floyd Blackwell from EAS in Savannah.
Oh, my God. EAS.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All the guys, Mark Little, Matt Jackson,
Yeah.
in Jacksonville, and
Oh, man.
Tampa, Orlando.
And don't leave out Butterball when you took me to his office.
Butterball.
And Joe in Philly at DAS.
WDAS, yes, and leader of the pack there, my man, the Mad Hatter at GOK.
Yeah, GOK in Mobile, Alabama.
So like Mike, explain to the people how important it is for what Nick did for you for your career by taking you to the DJs.
Oh,
how important is that?
It was everything because first of all, Nick said, to me, that in order for me really to appreciate, what it is that, you do, how the actual, business, you actually need, to know these guys, or else you really not gonna have that long, of a career. It was important. Nick stressed how important it was, to have a relationship, with all of these, guys. So Nick said, well, I asked, how are we gonna do it? So Nick said, well, what we gonna do is, we gonna go, to the family affair, and we gonna get a suite. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to get a chance to meet these guys. I'm going to put you in front of these guys. You know what I'm saying? And what Nick would say, hey, and you're going to run for mayor. You're going to run for mayor, kid.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? That's it.
That's it. So Nick, how is it that when you get an artist, how do you know which people to go? Like when you had Mike, how did you know where to take him to and who to go meet?
Basically, it's about family and having the ability, like myself, I consider my greatest asset is, as everybody told me, I had golden ears, so I just knew. I said, this young man is going to be somebody that can not only, play an instrument and sing, but he was just brilliant when it came to, and that's the best word I could use, to writing, to knowing what a hook and a melody were, where today they wouldn't know a hook or a melody if it bit them in the ass. I mean, and that's the difference between, back in the day and what's going on now. Yes, there's a bunch of good music, but it's not like hit after hit after hit. Back in the day, when Michael Sterling, I first started him and I charted him on a magazine that was comparable to Billboard Record World, where he actually charted, and I was like a one-man machine.
Yep.
And, people like Jack the Rapper Gibson, who mentored me, or Jerry Russian from EDR, it was all about that paper, you know what I mean? And the cheddar. And that's what people didn't understand. They thought, to this day, it's about color of a person's skin, and it's not. It's about the cheddar, and, people can tell whether you're real or not. And, and it's like the mafia, when you vouch for somebody and you feel strong about them, the way I did about Michael, and people trust you, especially, with the word omerta, which, you were involved with Bagman, Teddy, at least, the start of it as the book is being written about me. Like my grandfather said back in the day, you must be seen and you must not be heard. In other words, you got to keep your mouth shut. And that's what the guys liked, and the reason I became successful was, very, very simply, not only did I keep my mouth shut, but, the brothers weren't being paid by the so-called white owners, like the Rivers family originally owned WEDR. They weren't being paid, so why shouldn't, I help somebody out as a friend, having nothing to do with payola, just helping a friend out. And that's how you develop a bond and relationships. And then when you're fortunate enough to bump into, a talent like Michael Sterling, you bring him to people and you create a family situation. And that's how, as an independent label, we could chart going against all the majors. In my heyday, when I broke records like, Planet Rock, or then I had MC Hammer and Beyond, and then a whole bunch of hot little records in between. I mean, you forget stuff like, you know, Michael Sterling or even the New Edition.
Yep,
You know,
I just told him.
you know, I thought of,
He had Streetwise.
you know, I mean, I could just say one story, an example of with no strings attached, bailing Chico Wesley out of jail. You know what I mean? And he won't get mad about that, me saying it, but, you know, the point is, you know, it was one human being to another, and then, you know, I'm driving back from New York City with a couple of people, and I says, well, I got to give this to EDR first, but I stopped at this is just one example, WPOM in Palm Beach, where Chico was at the time, and I gave him a test pressing by a group nobody knew about, New Edition, and he's the first one in the world who'll tell you, it's on film too, that he broke Candy Girl, and of course, 24 hours later, you know, 99 Jams broke it. And so, you know, really it's about human beings and people, and that's why I go ballistic when I hear all this, you know, noise, you know, from people, and they always gonna, in other words, I'll sum it up with this: they always, you know, gonna play the victim, or use the victim, or use the race card.
Yeah.
You know, the bottom line is, Richard Pryor made the greatest comment in the last 50 years, God rest his soul. Thank God for any brother or sister, I'll say it twice, thank God for any brother or sister doing anything anywhere. Thank God for any brother or sister doing anything anywhere, period.
All right, Nick. Thank you, brother. Thank you for being on here, man. It's great history for y'all. And we got Origins coming back real soon, so y'all stay tuned for Nick Baby Love.
Hey, Teddy, thank you, man. I appreciate everything you do. And Michael, you know I got mad love for you going back when I first started with you in 1982.
You already know, man. Hey, before Caroline was born.
That's
There
it.
you go. That's my daughter.
There you go.
That's
There
it.
you go.
God bless both of you, man.
All right, man.
All right, Nick. I'll call you back.
That's what I'm saying, man. People don't know.
Yeah, but it's like for you guys, like when you was on a couple panels, I think it's very important that they hear from the elders. They hear from.
Sure.
You could tell your story about Luke. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And with Luke being there to back it up, that's what these kids need to see. Like about last year, I bought ADE, Poison Clan, Get Some Crew, Young and the Restless all together. And ADE and JT Money never met each other in 30 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
and it was like after we did it and then Kenny G passed, everybody called me like, yo, Teddy, thank you for giving us a chance to meet. Because they never met Kenny. Certain people never met Kenny G.
Yeah.
And these guys
Bad
all
man.
made great records that it's
Of
in
course.
the history of this Miami
Sure,
music.
man.
But, you know, I'm thinking like, we got the Trap Museum, but we need a museum that's going to be for
Because they
us
don't
and-
know about Eric Griffin.
Right.
They don't know about these, guys. That started out of my office.
Right.
He wasn't even in the,
Exactly.
the record, business. See, that's what I'm saying. Now, it's important. You know what Nick said? That was really, really cool. Like, for you to hear me talk about this, you would think that Nick was some brother. You don't know that Nick, is Italian, some white man. Listen, but you listen to me. He knew everyone.
Everybody.
He knew everyone. And I, to listen to what it is that he said, because I had no blueprint, as to on the business side at that point. Like, we still believed in Santa Claus, in those days. You know what I'm saying? Like the artists, hey man, listen, talent. I could do this stuff, you know, and play, and that's how the records, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get out.
They don't know all the extra. Not they don't know all the
And
extra.
so Nick would be, you know, in my office, and Nick would say, listen. That's you know, this kid, you're killing me. You know, and Nick would say, you're killing me. Listen, that ain't how, you know, go. You gotta listen to me. Listen to me. I'm gonna take you, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put you in front of, you understand, these brothers, and I'm gonna rely on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get you through the door. I'm gonna get you through the door. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm looking, you know what I'm saying? You know, Nick, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna get you through, you know, Nick is saying, you know, this, you know, you can't conceive how many people from how many states this guy knows. He's like George Daniels, man. He's like George Daniels.
No,
that
we
many
did the
people.
show. We started the show called Origins,
Yeah.
and we had Nasty Ness on
Shout out
here.
to DJ
You know what I
Nasty.
mean? I'm like everybody who he knows. I've been a part of. Like I've been able to meet them through him and Frank Wizard Coulson.
Okay.
You know about my
Yeah, I know the
Frank,
Wiz.
Frank the Wiz.
I
You
know
know what
about
I'm
the
saying?
Wizard, man.
So it's like, you know, this is who I came up with, you know, so like your name and these people was always, you know, so I always knew who you are, always, and then it was like when we met, it's like, you know, you knew who I was,
Of
you know what I'm
course.
saying?
Sure.
And that's the thing, it's like when you're working with these artists today, I tell them like you got to know all the intricate parts of
You
the
sure
element.
do,
and
man.
we got to bring back to be able to put these people, you know, new people in place. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because like we got the core DJs, we had our event the other week, our anniversary.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
And
You know,
it was so many older DJs. It's like DJs that's 50. I'm 50 years old and I'm still DJing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we need more 18-year-olds that we can show them
yeah,
the game
man.
and
That
show
you all
them
need to be a
how to-
family.
you know what I'm saying?
That you need to be a family. That's
Right.
what you know.
That's what it's all about.
That's what Nick, you know, was. That's what Nick was
what he was
alluding to.
saying,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? This isn't really about this. It like it is and it ain't. You know, something like. It's just back to the Barry White thing again. It's not about just, you know, this money. You know what I'm saying? You know a thing. This thing literally, you know, is about relationships beyond all that. Other than there's no way Nick could have gone, you know, said these radio, you know, relationships, bruh.
So I know you got to get ready to get out of here. We've been
Yeah,
talking so
man,
much. So
yeah. Shows tonight.
what time do you perform today?
I leave the building, you know, they really get popping, you know what I'm saying, you know, at 8, but I think that I'm on stage between 10 o'clock, you know, and 11 or something like that.
10 and 11. Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So
Could
let's
be
make
10
sure
o'clock, could be 10:01.
Everybody
you know what I'm
gets
saying?
to
Be in
the-
that building, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, you know,
Be
by
to
10
the
o'clock.
Cave tonight is going down. In the building, man, is Michael Sterling.
Shout
a
out to you,
pioneer,
Michael Sterling.
a pioneer in the music industry, not just the Miami music industry. We want to say a pioneer in the music industry, period. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you guys that are out here doing things now wouldn't be able to do the things that you're doing if it wasn't for brothers like this back in the days that sacrificed and learned to be able to make it possible for y'all to do what y'all doing today.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? And keep sampling his records and don't let him know so he can still keep getting paid.
Yeah, yeah, all that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead, man, and go ahead and let the people know some of the things that you got going on, man. You want to give let everybody know your social media.
Yeah, man. Social media, Sterling299 on Twitter. You know, I'm there. It's your man. On the gram, Michael Sterling 1. You know, you can find me. On Facebook, it's just Michael Sterling. You know, all of that, you know, good stuff. Pretty much, you know, I was an early believer in this social media, you know, stuff. I wasn't, you know, they didn't drag me, you know, screaming. I came in early. Man, you know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about the, what do you call it, man? Let's finish with the ball grease.
I wanted to know about the book because
'Cause I know
that's
you
an
wanted to go.
intricate story. So you gotta,
Well, let me just give you that one, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
We're going to
yes,
talk about that quickly,
yes.
you know what I'm saying? Because
there is something
All
I'm
right.
trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I remember when DJ Nasty was playing that record. It was Valentine's Day, and he played the Greasy record, and then he played your record, and I
Yeah.
was like, damn.
Yeah. Right.
Whoa.
All right. Let me just say, you know, it's so funny, man. Byron came, you know, to me to ask, you know, about the record. You know, shout out to Clean Face, you know, management. Y'all already know. And about doing this record, right? He said, I want to do this record. Cause Big D, shout out to Big D. If y'all don't know, you better know. You know what I'm saying? So Big D, say, man, I'm doing this record, man. I'm gonna use this, record. I'm gonna play it, for you. But it's so interesting, right? Like the record, my daughter came home and told me that she heard this record playing in the, in the club. But we ain't cleared the record. We ain't did this yet now. Me and this man done went to breakfast and we didn't talk. Me and, Byron said, look, man, okay, let's wait till the business is concluded, man, before the record, you know what I'm saying, go, out. And then my daughter, Talea come home and say, hey, I heard the record in the club. So I called up Byron. Hey, boss, what part of the game is that, man? You know what I'm saying? We said we was gonna do.
Exactly.
Byron said, Mike, man, these youngsters, man, they be out trying to test. I go, hey, man, tell them don't practice on me. You know what I'm saying? I had to do the business.
Right.
But the thing about it is, how can you not like Ball Greasy? How can you not like that guy? You know what I'm saying? Ball Greasy is a real respectful, dude with a bunch of talent anyway, anyhow, man. And then, Byron, we were able to make it, happen between, Big D, decided, man, that, hey, he want to do it. And every time he calls me, Big D he never strong arm. He always take the position and say, hey, man, look, listen, come on, Sterl,
Right.
I'm going to see, this written. Listen, if it ain't really nothing, I ain't gonna even mess with it, man. You know what I'm saying? You're only trying to do it to win. That's how he came to me with the Trina, with the Trina and Monica record.
Right.
Here we go.
Right. Here
we go. We gonna listen to the shout out. I heard Trina do the record the other night. You know what I'm saying? On our verses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Kelly Rowland record. Here we go.
Yeah, he did the Here We Go. We did the record with Monica. I Will Always Be There.
I will always be there. That's right. That is your record too. That's right. That is.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
From Ann Quiet. You know what I'm saying? Thing. But hey, man, that's the lick, bro. So we got it worked out. Took a minute. You know what I'm saying on the thing, but Byron and Greasy them got it done, man. And
that's a classic. That's a classic. You made it a classic already, and that made it another classic. That's a classic.
Yeah, they kept it alive, man. From the hook, and then they gonna ask me to come down and do the video.
Right. That's gonna be another charge.
Yeah, and I gave it to them on the house.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just because.
That's hard.
Just because it's the home team, man. But what I want to do, I want to say, locked up because we didn't, speak on what's happening right now. We got Locks a Million on the team. Boy, let me tell you what's gonna go on with this summer. Y'all get ready for a record called Swag With You that I'm getting ready to send. You DJs that we're gonna drop bombs and missiles with that. And let's talk about the return of the FAZE, which probably, these guys, come up here, man, and do your, show. We got, thank you. So we got Rob sitting in the back, Cold Sweat sitting there, but that's gonna be. We have a song right now called "Old School Lovin'." That okay.
I'm about to say you want to play it, right?
Yeah.
Baby said, turn that record loose, man. There you go. Turn that record loose, Ed. So that you.
So while he getting that geared up, man, those riffs and things of that nature, man. When did you start doing that? Was it in the church? Was it watching somebody? Like what developed those riffs?
Now I'm one of them, unique situations where it is that I wasn't, my great grandmother who helped raise me, she's the mother of the church and all. It ain't really worked for me that way. You know what I'm saying? The music, thing. But in them days, it really wasn't like, it was like no jamming in the church house thing. So but I didn't really have like big church singing like my man, Brandon. Shout out to Urban Mystic. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Serious, serious guy. With that. So for me, it was really more like, okay, I love music and it's in my background. Like my grandfather, like, was a saxophone player, man, and he played like Louis Armstrong, playing, music, and then I had an elder brother, man, who, played, also, man. So I was like, I get it, I was interested from a little kid, and I started playing, early. And it's funny, because, really my first break really came playing salsa. With Ray Fernandez, you understand it's called. I used to be on the bandstand. Playing on, bass and everything like that. But I actually come up as a working musician, unlike a lot of these, people.
Right.
I come from the working, class.
Like one of the funk brothers.
Of it, man. Exactly. Playing, with, Frank Cornelius. I was in a band called Unit 3. We used to play the Castaways. And those of you that's listening, unless you go all the way back, you don't know nothing about that Castaways. But at the Castaways, you know what I'm saying, bar, it was only the top of the top of the top. That's where, the whole Casey and the Sunshine Band, because Sporty Band, AC and Sporty and this Junkanoo Band and all of that, the Ocean Liners band, all of those guys used to play, and I used to play in there, with those guys. Two bands had to play, the same, time, and it was continuous music. So like when a DJ do a crossfade, so the music couldn't stop. So one band had to change while the other band, playing, all the way down to the last man change. The bass guitar player, you pull out his cable and stick in your cable, and you start playing with the last band, start playing until the new band is finishing the song that the last band, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's like Switch.
Hey, that's where the Howard Johnson and all of these guys, came from. Shout out to Howard Johnson. People know him from, So Fine and all of that, stuff with Kachif. But before that, he was a man called Night Flight, with a big hit called If You Want It, You Can Get It With Your Love. I'm about to talk about these were, heroes, as I said, coming up, in this thing. So I actually come from the working class.
Right. The guys, the work for hire dudes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, making a living as a musician.
Right.
This ain't no, you just add media, stir and boil. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
You put in that real work.
Yeah,
It took time, but that's why you got the respect and the legendary status that you have right now.
Yeah, man.
So, we only could, respect that.
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, it come from playing music for a living.
Right.
And you playing 5-6 shows a night. How about
That many?
What?
You was getting it
Oh,
in, man.
what's up, bro?
5-6 shows a night.
5-6 shows a night.
Wow.
This is what you did. You played 5-6
Shows.
shows
That's crazy.
a night.
That's crazy.
Oh,
So, what was your main inspiration while they getting that together? What's your main inspiration to get into music, though? Was it the money?
girls.
The girls? All right, that's a better answer. The girls, I feel you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, the ladies. There's nothing wrong with loving the ladies, man.
They just look cool.
Hey.
Yeah, man.
Put you in a whole nother stratosphere than everybody else out here.
Yeah. That's what it was for me. It was like,
All right,
girls.
Yeah.
I'm in need of some sexual
Here goes the record right here. Old School Love and Phase, Michael Sterling. Let's bring it back.
Teddy P. Turn off the lights, turn them off. That's the vibe I need to set the mood for me. So, when a grown man is in the mood for love, no offense, but that new school just won't cut it. You feel me? And I'm a grown man who's in the mood for love. I need me Yeah. Yeah. Give me that old school loving. Yeah. Give it to me. Old school loving. Yeah. A little Marvin Gaye to start the night off right. I'm in need of some sexual healing tonight. Little Teddy P, turn off the lights, turn them off. That's the vibe I need to set the mood for me. So a little Betty Wright tonight's the night. Put on some candy liquor.
In a world of millions of women, I do believe that this is true. Yes, I do. That they never made nobody more delectable than you. Not like you. The only way I'm leaving you, lady, is to go to heaven up there. Up there. Because the love that you put on me, baby, is beyond compare. Bring it to me. I just want that love. Give it to me. Baby, please. I'll get on my knees.
Get you between the sheets. Take your body for a ride. We'll take a voyage to Atlantis tonight. Yeah. Play a little loop. Ooh, babe. For I ghetto Kama Sutra. Our house is not a home if I'm alone in my bed tonight. Give me that old school love.
I can lay here and hold you, babe, or make sweet love to you, babe. The show's over for them, but it's just beginning for you.
That's that record right there.
Okay.
It's
Phase.
out doing big things right there for real.
Now,
Phase.
Locks, you send the man the record? No. Locks, you ain't send the man the record? I'm telling this you and wait, let me get this straight. So you're in front of Teddy T. The Teddy, the wild man, you know what I'm saying? Who just come back fresh for the car DJ, you know what I'm saying? You know, retreat. And you ain't get the man the record. What a ass clock going on here, son? You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna.
No.
Oh man, hey, Teddy.
All right, well, while you send it to us, we're going to go ahead and just get into some of your classics to get you ready for tonight. People are going to be vibing this tonight, boy. So we're going to get that record coming.